Hey guys, before we get into this video, just know that Kansept added a bunch of knives to their 2021 catalog, so it's not the same. There's extra new models that have just been added. I'm gonna link the new catalog down in the description, so definitely check it out. And a huge thank you to Kansept for supporting Neeves knives. Let's get to this video. Bang! Neeves knives. I'm Jared, and it's the Kansept Steller. Matt Degnan design. I've always liked Matt Degnan's designs. And yeah, this one is pretty interesting. Now, getting right into it. S35 VN blade steel, beautiful stonewash. I really like the way they do the stonewash. Now, I do got a couple smudges. I've been using it, testing it and everything, but look at the stonewash. It is really, really well done. Nice and even, nice and sparkly. It's definitely hiding scratches. Like I've beat the heck out of it. I mean, I guess not the heck out of it because I haven't sharpened it, but I've used it enough to where a lot of other knives would be showing scratches. Let me get that smudge off. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I've used it enough to where on a lot of other finishes, I would think I would see little scratches and nothing on this. So it's looking really good. Now the handle is a titanium frame lock with titanium backspacer and clip. And the hardware is T8s, guys. T8s. I love that. Thank you, Kansept. Now, getting right into the ergos, a lot of people are going to look at this and say, that wouldn't work, right? It's a 3-finger knife when you're held that far back. Well, this isn't how you hold this knife. And I did some cutting like this, to kind of test it out, and it did fine. I'm not saying you can't hold it like this, but the way you hold this knife is like this or like this. Now, let me get more in details. So when you hold it like this, your finger is okay to be right behind that blade. And the reason why is you don't have to worry about slipping up the blade. Like right now, I could poke this or stab this into something and I wouldn't have to worry about sliding up the blade because this finger prevents me. Just like if I'm like this, that prevents me from sliding up. This finger prevents me from sliding up. So this finger is having the control from sliding up the blade. Now, in the other grip, what you're basically doing is you're wrapping around here and you're pushing the pressure up into your palm right there, and you're using it like a pinch. So for like utility cuts, sideways cuts, like if something's in front of you, you need to make a cut sideways, turn it and go this way. But I used it quite a bit like this, and I was making cuts sideways, downward, this way, sideways, and this was the way to hold it. And it's relatively comfortable. Now, it's not it's not gonna be a type of grip where it's neutral. No, but for the blade shape, it actually works pretty good. So holding it, like this, if you're really going to need to get some slicing done, I held it personally like this. But for using this type of blade shape for utility cuts, opening stuff up, what did I do with it? I had to open up a bunch of plastic. I did pop some straps, and I will say, because of this angle, you would think that a reverse grip, holding it like this and getting a strap wouldn't be comfortable. It is. And the reason why is because this little gap, don't even notice it. My hand goes from here to here like this, and all the pressure goes into my fingers. When, like, say if I go behind a strap and I cut a strap, all the pressure goes backwards, and I'm locked in really good, nice and comfortable. But you wouldn't think so because of this part right there. But it's nothing. I'm telling you, it works really good. So it actually makes sense. Now, if you just handed this to me and I just grabbed it and didn't use it, and I mean, I used it all day at work for 2 days, but I wouldn't think that this would be very comfortable. But after using it, it works. It's very comfortable. It's just, it's a specialized grip, and it's not that it's so specialized that that's the only grip you can go into. So like I said, I did use it like this a few times, and it was fine. I'm not saying you can't use it like this. Anyways, so cutting with it now, the blade actually passing through materials, it has good geometry. You can actually see how thin the tip gets there, but it's not so much to where you're going to really worry about chipping it or breaking it. It's actually a great thickness. And passing the blade through materials, the blade isn't crazy thick. It's a good strong thickness, and the jimping on the spine is very useful. This is good jimping. It works good. You're locked in, especially in this pinch grip, works really good. But passing through materials, it works really good. It passes through. I felt like I had quite a bit of control. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be as good of a slicer as it is for utility cuts, but it was fine. I cut with it just fine. It worked just fine. I did find that, I was holding it in the grip where, my finger's right behind the blade when I was doing it. Now, like I said, you can hold it back and do cuts like that. Just depends on the size of your hand. But it's only 15 thousandths behind the edge. So being 15 thousandths behind the edge, it works great. It cuts good geometry. It passes through just fine, and you do have quite a bit of control. Now, where it's really gonna shine is through the utility cuts. It's just that type of blade shape, being a sheep's foot style blade shape. Call it a Warncliffe, call it what you want. It works great. And I'm doing a lot of those cuts. One of the days that I had this knife at work, I really got to see how it shined and the benefits of it. And yeah, it works great. Not only do you have a lot of leverage down into the cut, but pulling back through the cuts, you definitely have a lot of control, and you feel like you always know right where that tip is at. So I enjoyed using it. I enjoyed, carrying it and using it. Now, let's get to the action, and then we'll get to the clip and then to the negative. So, the action. Now, you can see already, without me doing anything, that the flipper tab is a lot higher than the center of the pivot, which means you have a maximum amount of leverage into the flipper tab. So, you have no problems ever flipping this. It does have a light detent though, but you can't notice it. The reason why I know it has a light detent is because I can easily reverse flick it just right here in the hole, or not the hole, but this little spot right there, which a lot of knives I can't get like that. I have to go way down here to reverse flick it, but with this one, I can get it easily. But when I flip it from up here, it doesn't feel like it has a light detent, because I have so much leverage pulling down that it's going to kick and fire every time without fail. And it's more of a light switch, because of the way the flipper tab is positioned. And it kicks out really good. Now, no death lock at all. And you can see how the lock bar kind of turns into that direction. But even with my finger right on the detent ball, no issues flipping it at all. I even found myself holding on to the clip a little bit and thumb flicking it. Now, the lock bar access, it doesn't have a cutout, but just the way it is, it's pretty easy. And it's almost always past the detent. So the detent ball, when I do unlock it, it's right there, which my thumb, you can see how much more room I got. So it seems like it's always past the detent ball when I do unlock it. Now, I can hold it up high enough. Or can I? I thought I could. Yeah, I can hold it up high enough to where it hits the detent ball, but for the most part, it's always past it. So on the drop, very smooth. It is like a two shaker. Now, if I just give it a bit of influence, it'll just drop. Like if I mean to shut it, straight down. It's very, very smooth on its ceramic ball bearings. Ceramic detent. You can see the 1T6 it does have right here. It is holding the steel lock bar insert. So it's steel on steel contact, which means you're going to have a more solid lockup. You're not going to have to worry about lock stick, which you don't. I mean, this is a very smooth lockup, very nice. And I notice when I lock it up, even when I go really slow, locks up perfectly. Nice sound to it. And perfectly centered. The tolerances are really nice. You can see how tightly fit that blade is in there. And it is internal stop pins. You probably can't see that in there, but the stop pin is actually connected to the blade. Bang. Very nice though. Okay, let's get to the clip. So, the clip works great. Great clip. Not only is it very smooth in and out of the pocket, it has a great amount of tension. I like titanium clips like this. I never have to worry about shredding my pockets. And I'll be honest, guys, my work pants, man, they're shredded. They are shredded from all these stupid clips from these knife companies that don't know how to do a good titanium clip. This one it makes me want to carry it because it doesn't shred my pockets. So thank you to Kansept for doing an incredible ramp, incredible job. In the hand though, you know, I feel it. I know it's there, but it's not uncomfortable in the grips I use. Like if I hold it back here, I feel it a little bit more, just a little bit right there. But for the most part, it's not a big deal. So nice. Now, a couple little extras before I get into the bad. Okay, guys, another thing I want to talk about, this hardware, T8 T10 pivot, double-sided pivot, so you can put a screwdriver on each side, but T10, and it fits so good. I'm so happy to see that because I'd rather see big hardware. And just so you guys know, this is a T10. Now, this is T8 back here. But same thing, good quality hardware. We love to see that. Thank you, Kansept. Something else I kind of want to show off here. You see the relief, lock bar relief? Look at the inside. The lock bar relief is on the inside, so they actually have it kind of on both. So when you're sliding this in and out of your pocket, you never have to worry about your pants snagging against the cutout for the lock bar. This was the one on the inside is very small. So they did the cutouts on the inside and outside. I personally don't know if I've ever seen that before, but I like that. So that is awesome. And if I have seen that before, I just can't remember, but that is really cool. And then you can see like the little fit and finish, like, or not fit and finish, but like the little finishing work around the edges and everything's softened really nicely for the touch, and you can really feel it. You know, there's really no, even these like corners right here, they're not sharp. They're very rounded and they feel very comfortable. You know, the only thing that's really sharp is the jimping, you know, the flipper tab right here, but most of the spots are pretty comfortable. Even back here in the hand, holding it into my hand like this isn't bad. This little part right here is actually like not crowned, but it's kind of rounded right there, which feels really good in the hand. So yeah, the finishing and the fit finish and like all the little details are really nice on this. The plunge grind, well done. So it starts, let me get a little knife to point it out. So the plunge grind starts right here and it ends right about right there. So they did leave quite a bit of sharpening for you. You can see it right there where it ends. I think it's actually a little bit deceiving in the camera, but it actually ends right here. So they left a good amount of sharpening for you, which is awesome. And the grind, I could see it's a little off from one side to the other, but I'm not putting that in the bad because it's still pretty good. I mean, it's something you kind of expect a tiny bit of, you know, but it's good. So I'm happy with the grind. I'm happy with, you know, the choil. Everything's really good. And the geometry, really good. The finish on the titanium is kind of a bead blasted finish. So it's not going to create a lot of texture. It is pretty smooth, pretty slick in the hand. Not a negative thing. I'm just, you know, stating it. It does have an over travel stop, so you're not going to unspring the lock. Okay, let's get into some bad things. So there's one, it's not like it's really bad, but the flipper tab's a little pokey. I do notice, like, instead of holding it or flipping it from right here, which I can do every time, just, you know, mind you, I can do that every time. But when you grip it like this and you kind of get that corner, it is a little pokey right there on the corner. And I felt like that's the way I kind of flipped it, was like that. So when talking about this flipper tab being just a little pokey, I kind of wish that it wasn't so rounded right there at the tip. I wish it had like one more jump right there, because when I grip it, even though, you know, I fire it every time, it's a little pokey and slick right there. So you can either just go right over the top like that, or just kind of let the jimping kind of hook the skin. But it's really slick right there on the very edge of it. And I'd like it to have a little bit of bite. That's my preference though, so it might not be a big deal to some, but to me, I just wish it had a little bit more bite and less poke. Another thing is that, you know, this being the type of knife it is, some people might have some issues with the ergos because it's not a neutral grip. But, you know, as I said, for the type of blade shape it is, and from the use that I had, I never had an issue with it. I actually enjoyed using it. But, you know, I could see some people thinking, you know, oh, this is a 3-finger knife or something, and that this is weird, you know, holding it like this. It's just, you know, you don't hold it like that. You hold it like this or like this. So, you know, I'm not saying that I'm complaining really, but some people probably would. That's really the only real bad thing I could come up with, because they got the T8s. They got a good clip. It does have a lot of milling on the inside, which makes this thing pretty dang light. I mean, it's definitely lighter than you would think. I mean, it's light. It's nice. They used a good steel, good finish, good geometry. I like the lockup. It's very, very solid from all directions. You know, it's not going to be for everybody, this design, but it's great. It's good, and it's not too big either. That's another thing. You know, the size is a good size for a lot of people. Now, it's not going to be a hard user, and I say that because you're not getting like the leverage you would get out of, you know, neutral grips. But what it's going to be is a great little cutter, a utility cutter, basically like having a little utility blade on you that can also slice. So good job, Kansept. I think it's awesome. And if you guys haven't had a Kansept yet, get one, man. They make great quality knives. Let's do just a couple size comparisons really quick, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. All right, two other of my favorite Kansept knives right now. The Sheepdog, this is the Convict. Really good knife. I really like this one. So the Kansept Convict, you can see, is a little bit longer than the Steller. And then another one of my favorite Kansepts, the Accipiter with green micarta. This also comes in other versions like Damascus and, you know, just different versions. But you can see how this is more of a full-size, harder use, which is not hard use. I'm not saying it's a hard use knife. I'm just saying it's a more neutral grip, you know, type of knife. And you can see it's, you know, it's quite a bit bigger than that one, than the Steller. And then a knife that a lot of people will probably know. Let's pull up a PM2 really quick. Then you can see the PM2 is quite a bit bigger than it. So hopefully you guys understand the size. One more size comparison, the Hinder Half Track, which is a great comparison to it. Now, the Steller is a tiny bit bigger, but they do remind me of each other. But the Steller, though, even though it's almost a perfectly flat edge here, right at the tip, it does have a tiny, tiny little bit of belly going up, so it's almost perfectly flat, but not perfect. Just a tiny little bit of belly going up. So there you guys go. Now, thank you to Kansept once again. This is an awesome knife, great design by Matt Degnan, and yeah, you can definitely tell it is very well built, and great materials, great fit and finish, great action, great cutting. So yeah, great knife. And if you guys haven't checked out a Kansept knife yet, definitely get one. Check out the catalog. Everything's linked below. I love you guys. Peace.